So once again, thanks for showing up. Today we're continuing with the 2011 one-on-one retreat. I'm getting very excited because I know that it won't be very long before the one-on-one retreat is here. And you know, one thing that always happens at one-on-ones, especially with the Superstar Retreat, is you get pumped up, you see a lot of new ideas, you meet a lot of your old friends, and when the time comes that you come back, you're ready to set the world on fire. And the one thing that happens, I've noticed, in all the years that I've gone to these, is that we tend to make a lot of commitments. Okay? We make commitments to ourselves that we will practice. We make commitments to ourselves that we'll role play, that we will do mastermind groups, that we will talk with other people, we'll go to other courses, we will go to productivity schools, prospecting schools, etc., etc., etc. The problem is that when we make commitments to go and see and do certain things, life gets in the way. And then we decide that we're not going to do it. Because it is a decision. And as we finished up yesterday, Mike said that the hardest thing about doing the Mike Ferry system is getting past a lot of the old habits that we have in our egos, saying that we know how to do everything. A lot of it is being willing to put in the time we talked about, and the effort, and the suffering that it takes to be a top producer. So between breaking through those old habits, okay, and admitting that you don't know everything, okay, and then admitting that there is a lot of work that is involved, those are two things that realtors have problems with: ego and work. And when you start to realize in the Mike Ferry system in particular that you're surrounded in the Mike Ferry, in the one-on-one retreat, you're surrounded by 2,000 agents who a majority of them are doing a lot more than you are. When they're doing 100 or 200 or maybe even 300 deals a year, and they have systems and they have lifestyles that are incomprehensible to you. You know, you go to some of these people, you see how they're taking month-long vacations in Tuscany, Italy, for God's sakes. And you think to yourself, how is it that you can have a lifestyle where you're making $2 million a year selling real estate in Denver, Colorado, and you can take a month off? How does that work? And it blows your mind. And it's because these agents have realized the value of putting away your ego and actually being able to work. And that, Mike says, is the hardest thing about adopting this system. Now, as we progress trying to figure out the skills required to be a master salesperson, Mike said that number 11, the biggest thing you need to understand is that you have to be able to delegate. Okay? You have to be able to delegate. Because quite frankly, we tend to think that we can do it all and that nobody can do it better than me. Right? The fact is there's only a certain amount of you that you can give. Okay? And to delegate basically means to get help. Okay? To get help. And understand that you can't do it all. And you can't do it all well. To allow others to do things for you. Okay? Allow other things to be done. Okay? What you want to do is you want to be able to find people, okay? Find people who are willing to help you, okay? Who are wanting to work with you, and then let them. Okay, so let's brainstorm real quick. What are some of the largest problems as a realtor you face today? What are some of the problems you're facing?
Competition.
Competition, okay. What else?
Or the competition, finding prospects.
Finding prospects, okay. What are some of the problems that you're having?
Well, some of the follow-up paperwork.
Follow-up paperwork, big one.
The depth of paperwork.
Good. Anything else comes to mind?
One of the most difficult is finance, securing financing.
Financing, okay, all right. So let's brainstorm this real quick, okay? You brought up some really good things, okay, and I want to try and keep this as relevant as possible. So it means something to you. It's just not some sort of ethereal concept. You brought up the thought of prospecting, okay? Finding new leads. You brought up the prospect of the concept of paperwork, okay? You brought up the concept of financing. What were some of the other things that you brought up? I don't recall.
Competition.
Competition. Okay, good. Thank you. All right. What are some of the things that you can delegate or do that will help you overcome some of these problems? Let's brainstorm some ideas. What are some of the things that you could delegate that would help you get new leads?
That one right there would be like referral sites or get buying information like Reddit or
True,
things
true.
like that.
Okay.
With MLS, automatic daily hot sheet, things like that would help.
Right. RedX, hot sheets, right? Mojo, perhaps, right?
Using outsourced people from like Craigslist to put in ads, things like that.
Okay. So
Flyers,
Craigslist ads, right?
What was that one?
Or just outsourcing, using your other people to find leads for you. That would be like have them do the envelopes for the farm and have them do the Craigslist ad, things like that.
Okay. That's a good idea. Okay. How about we also add in there title companies, right? Title companies. Because title companies can provide a wealth of information, can they not? Mm-hmm. And they, more often than not, will provide it for free. Okay. You brought up something that I thought was a really big thing. You said something about Craigslist ads and outsourcing. Tell me a little bit more about what you were thinking when you said that.
I use Craigslist to be able to. I use HTML programming where then they click in and directs them to my website.
Okay.
So it's just a trapping device.
Okay, good. So you've got an ad on Craigslist where a prospect will see it, click a link, and it gets sent to your email or your website. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, good. All right, that's a good idea.
What if you don't have a website?
Well, if you don't have a
can
website,
direct
you have a website with Realty Executives, which is certainly one you can use. Okay. How do you get those Craigslist ads in there? Because as we know, Craigslist ads are a bitch after a while. I mean, you got to put them in, and then you got to wait for a couple of days before you can repost because they just go through and on and on and on. So how do you go ahead and make use of that?
I pre-program everything with Coffee Cup.
Coffee Cup. Great. What's Coffee Cup?
Coffee Cup is a software that does HTML programming.
The coffee, it does what?
HTML programming.
Oh, okay.
Because Craigslist, the only way to actually put those nice pictures you have in Craigslist,
Mm-hmm.
you have to have an outside source for to host your picture. So we use PhotoBucket for that, and then you have to have an HTML type of programming to be able to create that flyer in Craigslist.
Interesting. Okay, good. So basically what Alex has done is he's outsourced some of this stuff that they will go ahead and create these ads in a format in HTML that will enable it to be seen, and when they click it, it's actually something worthwhile. It's a piece that looks good. It's not just some random ad, okay? You see, the reason why I brought it up was because when you start talking about outsourcing, one of the things that we have done that worked out really well for us is we have an intern that's willing to help us. In return for some of the courses that we teach, okay, he is willing to go ahead and put in Craigslist ads for us. Okay? He's willing to help with paperwork in terms of filing, making folders, presentations, things like that. Okay? He can help us out with the competition in terms of going out and looking at particular properties and taking pictures for us. Okay? Guess how much he charges me for that? Zero. That's my favorite number. Zero.
Mine too, brother.
See, the thing is, when we went on Craigslist, I looked for an intern. Now, here's something I want you, as well as you, okay? You, right there, you. I want you all to recognize. Here is a guy, okay, who has no real estate license. He has no real estate experience. But he is interested in the real estate business. And we have a thing that we can provide him that is free. Okay? Coaching. Daily. Helping him out. Okay? Decide if he wants to be a realtor or go into investments on his own or whatever he wants to do. He shows up to these courses, okay, because he learns something. He's a subscriber to our channel because he learns something. It has value to him. And a lot of people we see who have this given to you for free, you don't go. You don't watch it. You don't look on YouTube. You ignore it, okay? Look, I'm telling you right now, there will come a day, and it's not so distant from now, that I will not be doing this, okay? So keep that in mind when you're sitting there talking about this. You have to find people that you can outsource stuff to. Take advantage of this course, market it to people and say, you know what, if you will come and work with me, I will teach you what I know, and you all have something you know. Get yourself an intern that will help you with some of this stuff, okay? Have them come to class. Do you have to teach it? No. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost you anything at all. No time, no nothing. You just have them come in. Simple, right? Paperwork. Okay, let's talk about paperwork. What are some of the things that you can outsource or delegate that will help you with your paperwork today? What are some of the things you can do?
If you don't have an assistant, you can utilize the sources we have here, like Susan's daughter.
Right.
Charges $20 to scan. Susan will charge. She has a la carte for whatever you want to turn in or needs to be turned in, things like that. So you do have resources, and if not, you have transaction coordinators everywhere that are willing to do it, even with your Antigua that they're willing to do ours.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got a la carte services.
Paperwork also, your title companies are willing to do an awful lot too.
Right. Yeah, title companies can do some, right? See, a la carte services are something that are big, okay? When you think about it, you know, I don't know exactly how much Susan charges, but she can take your listing, okay, input it for you, take care of all the paperwork, run the whole thing for a nominal fee. And you only pay her when it closes. And if it doesn't close, I mean, it's not that much. You pay her like, I don't know, 50, 60 bucks, whatever it is. That's an a la carte service. Her daughter will provide services for you to go ahead and do your property verifications for like 15 bucks, okay? Look, why are you doing $12 an hour work when you are worth $500 an hour?
It's lack of knowledge sometimes.
Yeah, it's because you don't know about it. Or what's worse is you know about it and your ego thinks that I handle this better than so-and-so. Okay, look, you might. Okay, you might be able to have the property verification. You might be able to do it better. Okay, but quite frankly, you know, if they make a mistake, it's not going to be the end of the world. All right, it won't be the end of the world. Financing. How can you get assistance?
Carl, if I could just throw in some on the paperwork. On the paperwork part, a lot of the stuff the title company does is free. Like example on a short sales, instead of hiring a short sale negotiator, wasting your time.
Right.
Fatco will do all the initiation, releases, the whole 9 yards with the lenders on your short sale.
Right.
It's free as long as you utilize their services.
That's right, yeah. Fatco will go ahead and take the paperwork you have and go ahead and set you up to a negotiator. That's exactly right. They will, and they'll do that for free. Absolutely. Yeah, some people like the service, some people hate the service, but either way, it is a service that they will provide for free, and it will help you. Absolutely. Financing. What are some of the things that a financing person can help you with?
Decrease the amount of time with the contact of the potential buyer
or
seller.
Big.
Or buyer mainly.
Yeah, huge. Buyer qualification, okay, to save you time, okay? What about if, let's say you were holding an open house, let's say. If that lender was with you, would that save you a bunch of time? You bet. Would that give you an opportunity to capture that buyer? Right at the moment they find out that the yes can buy a house.
Right when they're in love, absolutely.
Right there in love. Here you go, sign this, and we're ready to rock and roll. How about this? When a lender, okay, and I'm not saying you should hit the lender up, but people do this. They hit them up for the help with ads. If you're going to run an ad, let's say you run a flyer, okay, and you want them to help you with the printing costs. Maybe that's something to think about, okay? Your competition. How are we going to get the competition to help you in your business? That is the million-dollar question. Anybody know?
The competition, I use my competition for information mainly.
Really? Tell me about that.
My competition is what allows me to purchase information as to expired listings, for sale by owners, because a lot of times they will already have information up that they've gathered, and then, because there's no loyalty. So example, like gathering phone numbers, gathering data of who's all in the condominium complex. Competition also then would be example, if I have a buyer and an agent is representing that buyer, I will talk to that agent if the buyer contacted me, and I'll get some information out of it too, knowing that the buyer's going to end up with me. There's so many different ways of getting information out of competition.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think what I'm hearing you say also is that if, let's say you have an expired listing and you can't find the information, the contact info, call the other agent and say, hey, look, you know what? I understand your property expired. Were you going to relist that property? Well, no, I was not. Okay, great. Well, look, I'm having trouble finding their number. And if you feel comfortable giving me their number, and you know how it is, you know, if I call them up and I tell them the same thing you've told them for 6 months, okay, and they actually reduce their price and list with me and I sell it, I'll pay you a 25% referral fee. Your competition can help you get some numbers. How about this one? Do you have friends at other companies? Long, T&T, anything like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, good. What if, and this is a great trick, what if you were in a competition with another agent here in town, a big name, and you're a single guy, or gal, it's just you, okay? You're at Realty Executives, and they're at Long. They got a team full of people, it's just you. One versus the other, okay? The seller tells you, look, I want to list with you, I like what you got to say, but I like this other agent because they've got a huge team. They've sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of homes, and frankly, I don't see any of your signs around. I mean, you're great, but can you see how this situation could come up? Yeah. What if one of your friends from Long Realty calls up your client or potential client and says, you know what? Hi. Yeah, my name is Joe Blow. I'm with Long Realty, and I understand that you're interviewing Joe Schmuckatelli from my company and Carl from Realty Executives. Yeah, I just want to let you know, yeah, I'm in the same company as Joe Schmuckatelli, but I'm telling you, if it were me and I was to list with somebody, I would list with Carl.
That wouldn't be unethical?
Not at all. Why would it be unethical?
A long agent going against another long agent?
He's not going against them. He's just saying a personal opinion. That long agent, okay, if you have relationships, and believe it or not, you say it doesn't work, I've done it. Okay? Gary Roberts and Bob Norris, good friends of mine, right? I went ahead, I was up against Rob Lamb, and that's exactly the scenario. I had Bob Norris give him a call, say, hey, by the way, you know, Rob's a great guy, okay, but Carl's a good guy too, and I would, if it were me, I'd choose Carl. Guess who got the listing? Okay?
You actually had Bob Norris.
I had Bob Norris do that for me, yeah.
And you paid him a referral fee then, right?
No, I didn't pay Bob anything. And I'll tell you the reason why that works. Is because when that happens, you tell Bob, look, I'll do the same for you. I'll do the same for you. Because at the end of the day, think about it, okay? This is cat and mouse. This is win, eat, or be eaten. This is the way it works, okay? And if you think that there's some kind of chivalry in real estate and some kind of, look, you're wrong. Your bills will go sky high and your income will go sky low, or whatever that is, okay? Anything you can do to compete in this market that is ethical, okay, you want to do. This is not unethical. Okay, Bob's not saying Rob's a piece of crap. No, I'm not saying Rob's a piece of crap. Rob's a good guy, right? But in the end of the day, okay, somebody has got to take that listing. Absolutely. And it's either going to be my mortgage payment that's getting paid, or it's Rob's car payment that's getting paid. And if I have anything to say or do about it, it's going to be me. And if I can pull out a wild card, if I can pull out anything that will help me get this listing, I'll do it. Okay? So think about your competition in those terms. Develop those relationships. That will help you. Okay? All right. Now, I wouldn't recommend you do that with Realty Executives and another Realty Executives. So, you know, we have George calling up, say, yeah, I hear that you're planning on interviewing Carl and Kurt I think you should list with Carl. That's probably not too good. Okay, don't do that. That's uncool. All right, don't do that. Okay? So the delegation, you have to be good at delegating, because if you're going to be selling real estate in high volume, okay, because that's really what we're talking about. We're not talking about those 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 sales a year that you're doing that are $5 million a piece. We're talking about the $120,000 to $140,000 thousand price range that you got to sell a lot of to make any money, right? So you got to learn how to delegate it. Okay. Number 12. This is a big one. The skill, okay, of doing it day in and day out. Oh, so hard to do. Easy to say, hard to do. Number 12, the skill of doing it day in and day out. Would you agree with me that real estate is a boring business? I mean, for the most part, you come in, you prospect, or hold an open house, or distribute flyers, make a mailer, whatever it is you do, okay? You do it, and you get a deal, and you go through the home inspection, and you do the Benzer, and then you close. Okay, gotta do it again. And then you go out, and you do it again, and you gotta do it in, and again, and again, and again. That's really the hardest part of what we do. Okay? Because what happens is you get bored. And when you get bored, okay, that's when you start looking at other alternatives. The magic bullet, if you will. Okay? That one thing that's going to turn it around for you. Okay? And I've looked at these other things, and I've done a lot of things. I've tried other systems to see what they work and see what doesn't work, and I've taken what's good and thrown out the bad. And you should do that. Okay? But it's the hardest part of what we do, and it's actually doing it over and over again, okay? So the question is, okay, are you willing? Are you willing to work 7 to 10 hours a day, okay, 5 to 5.5 days a week? Okay? Are you willing to do that? Because that's what it's going to take in order for you to succeed. And I probably misspelled that wrong. If you want to succeed, okay, you got to want it. There's a video on Sell More Homes Now, the channel. There's a video up there that I would highly recommend you look at, where a guy is relating a story. I know I've mentioned this before, where the guy goes out to the surf. Did you guys talk about that one? No? Guy goes out, tells another guy he's really rich, and he says, you know what? I want to be just like you. I want to make a lot of money. The guy says, well, you don't want that. Trust me. The guy says, no. I want to be just. I want to be successful. I want to be rich like you. It's all right. Okay, fine. Meet me tomorrow at the beach at 4 in the morning. The guy says, 4 in the morning, man, that guy's nuts. I don't know if I want to go out there 4 in the morning. I want to learn how to make money. I don't want to go swimming. Meet me at the beach. Okay, fine. The guy goes out there, got his suit on, shoes shine, he's ready to go. 4 in the morning, out in the sand, the surf's crashing up, and the guy comes out and he says, okay, are you ready for your lesson? The one lesson that will change your life. And the guy says, okay, sure. Come out here with me. So the guy walks out into the water. He says, come on. And the guy walks out, and the water's up to his knees. And he says, come on a little bit further. And the guy walks out a little bit more. And he says, man, this guy's nuts. This water's cold. He said, come on, keep going. Then he gets him out to his neck now. And the guy's like, man, I don't know if I want to keep going. I want to quit. He says, no, if you want to be successful, come a little bit further. So now the guy's standing on his tippy toes, trying to stay above water, and his head is like so, and the guy reaches from behind him and grabs his head and pushes him down into the water, keeps him in this ice-cold water. 4 in the morning. Sand's blowing around his feet, his suit's soaking wet, he's being held underwater, he can't breathe, and the guys kept holding him down. And after a minute or so, this eternity, he lets him up. And he says to the man, when you were under the water, what did you want more than anything? Anybody know?
Air.
Air.
He wanted to breathe. Yeah. He said, I wanted to breathe. He says, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you will be successful. If you want to be successful in this business, you have to be willing to put in the time. You got to want it. A lot of you say you want it, okay, but you only want it a little. You don't want it bad, okay? That was this statement this guy was making on the video, and it's really profound, okay? And then the question is, are you willing to work 250 days a year? 250 days. Now think this through. If you work at Circle K full time, okay, you're going to be working 250 to 265 days a year. You take the weekends off and holidays and stuff like that, right? But realtors, any idea what realtors on average do?
To work in a year?
To work in a year. How many days?
20 days.
Seems like it, yeah. Yeah. Actually, it's about 220 days to 230. Okay? That's how much time they put in. Now think about it. Okay? You got weekends off, 2 weeks off a year for vacation, you got some training time, you got some other sick days, things like that, right? Out of 365 days, most people, they take 220 to 230 days. If you work 250 days a year, that, for most realtors, okay, is 20 days more than the average. Tell me, what has 20 days in it? 20 working days.
A regular month.
A regular month. A regular month has about 22 days of regular work days. The person who does this, it's like you have a month's extra time. As opposed to a 12-month year, you got 13. If you want to be successful doing it day in and day out, you got to do it not only for the time, but you got to do it in repetition. And that's when you'll be successful. Number 13. Number 13 is the skill, okay, of asking questions. The skill of asking questions that will get your prospects involved in the process. You know what I'm saying? If you just go on your presentation, okay? You're making your phone presentation. You're calling, Marissa. You're calling on the phone. Hi, how are you? My name's Marissa. I'm a realty executive. Just calling to see if you thought I was on your own. No, yes, well, and you don't ask any questions at all. Click, there it goes the hang. You know, you're done, right? But on the other hand, if you ask questions, okay, you're getting them to stop thinking about hanging up. They won't hang up on you if they don't have time to think. If you want to get people to talk to you, George, ask more questions. Because if you're finding people are hanging up on you, you're not asking enough questions. Okay? If they're getting ready to hang up and you say, wait a minute, real quick, huh? They're going to want to listen. You still want to sell that place? Well, I don't want to listen. I got that. I don't want to list your home. And you ask another question. Okay? But you got to get them involved. If it's a buyer, okay, Julie, ask him. If it's a buyer, ask him something. Where would you put your couch? Anything. Okay? Where would you put the couch? All right? When do you need to move in? Okay? If we close it by the end of the month, is that okay? Have you got enough time? Do you need a mover? Anything. Okay? Keep them involved. Because asking questions, okay, keeps you in control. So let me ask you this. In any relationship, seller, agent, buyer, agent, husband, wife, someone is in control. Yes? Mm-hmm. Okay. Somebody is always in control. Either you are or they are. Okay? Now, in a marriage, more often than not, it's the wife, okay? The guy will think he's in control, but more often than not, the lady of the home is going to make the decisions. And the thing about a seller and a buyer, when you start asking questions, they are responding to you. You have the initiative, okay? So when you are asking questions, let's role play this real quick, okay? So Marissa, I'm going to ask you a question, okay? When do you plan on moving?
The next 3 months.
Next 3 months? No kidding. Where are you going to move?
Not sure, maybe out of town.
Out of town? No kidding. So the East Coast, West Coast?
West.
West Coast. Wow. Get better to the better areas of the country. Better weather, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're asking 4, 5, 6 questions right there. She can't think. She can't hang up because you're asking questions. When she tries to dodge a little bit, well, I don't know. Oh, East Coast, West Coast? Well, West Coast. West Coast, yeah, it's great weather, isn't it? Well, yes, it is. So you're engaging them because they can't hang up then, okay? Because their answers, all right, will tell you what to ask next. Crap, let me try this again. Their answers tell you what to ask next. Now, we've already went over some of the scripts and we've talked about how you need to have 3 or 4 more questions for each question, okay? Where will you plan on moving? You know, well, we're thinking the East Coast, West Coast, we don't know. Okay, West Coast, great. If you were to move to the West Coast, what part of the West Coast would you go? Well, we're thinking maybe Orange County. Orange County, that's awesome. Like, did you have a house picked up already, or were you just waiting to sell this one first? Well, we got to sell this one first. Okay, you got a realtor you're working with down there? Well, no. See how that kind of flows, okay? It remains relevant to them. So you've got to be able to ask a lot of questions, and that is a skill, okay? Next. The skill, okay, of listening. Wow. Okay. The skill of listening. How many of you have ever been in a situation where there's a salesman or a person who's talking to you incessantly? That sounds a lot like right here. Let me rephrase the question. Where they have talked to you and not asked any questions and have just kept talking. Like a salesman, like a sales pitch on a phone, a telemarketer.
They've learned nothing about you.
Yeah, or something like that. They don't particularly care about you, right? So the skill of listening, okay, and we talked about this before, is the skill of listening to understand versus to respond. You see, if you're just waiting like a gunslinger for them to bring up something about the commission in the presentation, you're going to miss them when they say, well, you know, we really like what you have to say, but, you know, we want to, and you say, I know, cut the commission. Well, no, we just wanted to wonder how quick we can get the sign up. See what I'm saying? You're not listening to hear what they have to say so you can understand how you should respond. If they say, well, we need to move in 3 months, like Marissa brought up, okay, great. So if I brought a buyer by who'd be willing to close in 30 to 45 days, would that pose a problem for you? Well, yes, it would. We could not close. Is that somebody that I want to respond to, or is that somebody I want to find out questions? You want to get to the basics of it. You want to find out why certain things are. And then you can make a decision once you have, like you said, the information. When you know a little bit about them and what the problem is, then you can address it. We talked about presentations yesterday, how you had a need, and then you had your skills and ability, and then you matched it to make the presentation. Same thing here. If you don't understand anything about what they're trying to do, you're going in half-cocked. It's critical to understand everything. Okay, so then that's great. That's easy. What if we could find a way to have better listening skills? Would that be of any value at all? Otherwise, I'll just flip the page. Okay, all right. How to become a better listener according to Mike, right? how to become a better listener. Mike said there was a couple quick things that you wanted to do, okay? First, you want to take notes. Even if you are doing nothing more than doodling, okay? You know, you got the doctor, your psychologist or whatever, he's, oh, that's fascinating, really. And he's playing hangman with himself or something like that, you know? When you take notes, okay, people start to take notice, because that is what? It's unusual.
You care.
You care. What happens? Okay, let me ask you this. You go to a listing presentation, and you're sitting down with a seller, and you start going through your presentation. You say, okay, great. As I understand it, you said you were moving to California. Is that right? Yes, that's right. Okay. Well, tell me a little bit more about that. You mind if I take some notes? Instantaneously. That creates in them the understanding that you actually want to know. How many of you are actually doing that now? 1, 2, okay, 3, yeah. When you take notes, a couple of important things is that it makes sure that you don't screw up, okay? Because if they told you, I'm moving to California, and then 2 months from now when you're asking them for a price reduction and you say, yeah, to get you to Illinois, we need to reduce the price. What? I wasn't talking about going to Illinois, we're going to California. You see? Take notes, because you'll need them. Especially if you're doing 25, 50 transactions a year, you're going to forget. I forget how. Do you know the clients' names that you have? No? Of course you don't.
Mm-mm.
How come? How many listings do you guys have?
No.
Yeah.
Close to 100.
Close to 100 listings. Okay? You'll never know who these. If they walk up to you in a grocery store and they say, hey Marissa, how are you? You're like, hi. You know? You don't even know who they are. It's because you got 100 of them. How can you possibly, on the end of a phone, know what they're saying if you don't have notes? Keep those. Next, repeat back to people. Repeat back what they said. Okay?
Especially their names.
Especially their names. Yeah, I'm terrible about that.
That's so
Okay?
bad.
Especially repeat back to them what they say. So let me make sure I get this right. You said you're moving to California because you got a job transfer coming up, right? Right. Okay. I'm just making sure I got it straight in my head. Great script. I'm just making sure I got it straight in my head. Repeat back what they say. Next. Listen for their attitude. Okay. And this is helpful for you on a couple levels, okay? Because if their attitude and tonality is such that it will tell you what kind of personality they are, then that will help you understand how you should modify your behavior. So for example, okay? I am analytical and I want to know the facts, right? That's just me. You know, I understand what you're saying, Carl. That's fantastic. That's great. But I really got to see things in paper. Yeah, I like to kind of know what I'm doing. Or, you know, we spent $40,000 on the deck and we put $20,000 in the pool. They're going to want to know numbers. So bring numbers, right? Well, just get to the point. That's a driver. Don't be afraid if they sit there and they get that way with you. Okay, don't be mad. Don't be scared. That's just the way they are. Okay. The other thing about it is, with their attitude, you can determine real quick if that's somebody you want to work with. You know, can I modify my activity enough that I even want to be this person? Because you got to assume their skin. You know, are you going to like the person you are when you're in their skin? You know, or is that going to be a place where you're like, this is icky, I don't want to be here? Okay? Listen for their attitude, all right? Do not respond. Oh, God, this is so important. Do not respond to your own questions. Okay. What would be an example of answering your own question? Oh my goodness. Come on, this isn't that hard.
Give it your own opinion.
Okay.
If we're impatient with the time, waiting for a response, a lot of times we'll just answer ourselves like, okay, so you really don't want to do this right now.
Do you?
When we ask them to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't handle that silence.
Yeah, exactly. It's that silence, or we're impatient. You ask them a question like, so, you're wanting to be out of here, by summer, right? And then it's quiet. Well, yeah, you want to be out by summer. Well, maybe they're thinking right there, well, maybe summer, maybe that really wouldn't work. I guess maybe we could think April, maybe February, whatever. Let them think. It's okay. Let them answer their own, your question. If you ask a question, think of it as an attorney. An attorney is cross-examining a witness in the stand, and they say, isn't it true that on July 15th you went to the slap-and shop? And they say, well, yes, I did. Great. Does the attorney therefore, on July 15th, isn't it true that you went to the slap-and shop? Of course it's true. You see what I'm saying? You're establishing, look, when you're making your presentations of any kind, think of it like a foundation that you have to go ahead and create step by step. That's what these questions are. They're blocks in a foundation. Think of yourself as an attorney making a case. That'll help you make this, okay? Oh, God, this is hard. Oh, man. Turn off your personal problems. I don't know about you, but this is probably one of the hardest ones for me, right? Turn off your personal problems. Now remember, when we were talking about presentations yesterday, okay, we talked about how it's critical that for 30 minutes a day, just 30, that you're on top of your game, even if you got to fake it. Man, you're excited, I'm alive, ready to go, woohoo, drink amp, whatever it takes. Because when you're at that presentation, it's showtime. Remember that? You can be a slug all day in the office if you want, but when you get in front of those people, it's showtime. You got 30 minutes to make $4,000. Okay? That's all there is to it. Bottom line. If you come in and for those 30 minutes, you're not present. You're not aware. Think of this like Zen. Okay? Think of it like in the zone. You're completely focused on exactly, like it's the word of the ages, that you're crawling up the mountain just to hear what they've got. Every single word is the word of God. It's the drop of dew, on your forehead, whatever it is, okay? Because if you're thinking about how you got to bring home bread because the kids ate the bread, before you got home, or, man, I'm upset because, I just caught my kid cheating on his school exam, or whatever, okay, you might miss that one thing that will help you make that sale. You can obsess all day long, if you choose to, out in the, at the office and sweat it out and be upset and curious, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? This kid's driving me crazy. I've done it. But when you're in front of that client and you want to be a better listener, turn that little section of your brain off. That alone will help you. God, I wish I could do that. That's hard. Really hard. The more prepared you are, okay? The more you'll be able to focus. Okay? So think about this for a minute. If I'm making a presentation to you, a listing presentation or a buyer presentation, and I have to think about what it is I'm going to say, all right, my listing presentation, for example. Hi, Carl, glad to meet you. Let's have a seat, have a seat. One of three things could happen. You list with me, you don't list with me, or I choose not to take your listing, and one of those is fine. If I have to think this out, okay, then I'm going to miss what they're saying. But if I have that drilled into my head, okay, Somebody tell me, what is the letter after F?
G.
What is before Z? Y. Okay. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? Why were the the letters in the alphabet put in that order? Do you know? Goes with the song. See, you had it drilled in your
I thought he
head.
was really going to give
Yeah, I know, it's a bad joke, huh? Yeah. All right, think about this. Okay, what is your favorite song? George, what is your favorite song that we might all know? It's something that's not in the 40s.
Well, working on a railroad, geez.
Working on the
Working
railroad.
on the railroad.
Working on the railroad. Okay. And what does it go? That would just remind me. Let's see. Working on the railroad. I think going down, down, something like that. Is that how it goes?
All the live long day.
All the long day or something.
Is that how it
I've
works?
been working on
I've
the
been
railroad.
I've been working on the
All
railroad.
the long day.
Okay. And what comes after
I've
that?
been working on the railroad just to pass the time away.
Okay, good deal. All right. What about you, Marissa? What's your favorite song that you can think of?
Same.
Same? How about you?
Horse with no name.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa,
Right.
nice song.
Went through the desert on a horse with no name. Good.
Yeah.
How about you, Julie?
That's what I sing.
Respect.
Respect. Ah, yeah, I hate that song.
All right. Yeah.
I'll tell you why I hate that song. It's because when I call you, I hear that R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Oh,
I finally took mine off and was
Oh,
playing with my horse.
it kills me. Right. Alex, what about you? What's your favorite song? Clean song. Not like me. Clean song.
Not the candy shop.
No, it's not the candy shop. It's not the booty shake. No. What's the clean song you
I
know?
guess the one I have in my head is Amazing.
Amazing. Okay, good. All right. So think about this. Think about the song that you know. In your head, okay, except for George's, that's like way old for me, right? But everybody else's song I'm pretty clear with, okay? Julie's is from like 1970, right? Yours is from 1970-ish. And yours is, you said the
Railroad,
same,
yeah.
the railroad? Really?
I
God.
can't narrow it down.
Wow,
sorry.
okay. And yours is, if I remember right, Amazing is like 2000, isn't it? It's a newer song, isn't it?
2011.
Yeah, okay. So the thing about it is that regardless of the time, okay, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever that was, right? 70s, 80s, you know this song. Why? Why do you know this song? The lyrics. And you can say it without singing it. Why can you say it?
It relates to my childhood.
Okay.
I knew it as
When
a
I'm
kid.
riding my horse, it just comes into my head.
Right, okay. You've heard this song hundreds of times. Maybe you got it on an MP3. Maybe you got it on a CD. That's a little record-looking thing.
It's not a 45.
It's not a 45. Okay, it's not a LP.
8-track. An 8-track.
It's not an LP. So the thing about it is, okay, think about it this way: you have heard this song hundreds and hundreds of times. Maybe you've worked out to it, rode your horse with it, whatever it is you did. Okay, but you heard it over and over and over. You could recite it in your sleep. If I called you up at 3 in the morning and I said, hey, tell me a horse with no name. Give me a couple verses, because I can't sleep unless I hear it. I got to get more cowbell. Whatever it is, you start singing it at 3 in the frickin' morning because you know it. Why can't we make that our listing presentations?
Well, because each person's you're dealing with is different.
The good thing is,
Actually, that's how it is.
the listing presentation, the bones of it, the lyrics, if you will, are all the same
Never
every
changes.
time.
Never changes.
That never changes. Now, in a horse with no name, for example, you might have an a cappella version. You might have someone singing in the background, putting in some kind of mix from the Eagles or something, right? I don't know. But there might be some other music added to it, okay? But the overall lyrics, they don't change. With our clients, we always say the same things because we don't have to think about it. But you can't make that statement if you don't practice, if you don't study. If you don't have those scripts, you're in a world of hurt. Okay? I can't tell you how strong. Look, you want to be a strong agent? Learn those scripts. Man, you'll be coming out of the gate fired up and ready to go. Okay? To listen better, avoid making assumptions. Avoid making those assumptions. What are some of the assumptions that we make when we're listening to somebody?
I assume you want to sell with us.
I assume you're going to sell. That's right. I assume you want to sell with me. That's right.
Your salary, your percentage.
Okay. Maybe we tend to assume certain things like, this person won't hire me because X. I'm not qualified because of Y. This person here is hopeless in terms of their price. They overprice their stuff. They're ridiculous. They'll never sell. Don't make assumptions because, quite frankly, that overpriced listing, they may not know. They may not have had it adequately explained to them why their price is crazy. Mm-hmm. That buyer, maybe they don't know the process. Now, Ron and Sally, for example, they know the process because they've been through it 3 or 4 times, with 1 or 2 agents before they ever closed. So they know the process, but you got to understand that when you're talking to somebody, okay, you have to avoid making those assumptions, because when you start doing that, you'll miss something that will become helpful. Here's another one. Listen for what is not being said. Somebody give me an example of that. Something that's not being said.
I want you to sell my house. I'm really got a lot of things to slam the door.
Okay. All right.
Somebody you're talking to, they haven't said if there are other people they need to talk to make the decision, other decision makers.
Okay. I suppose that's true. How about this one? I know you guys are familiar with this. How about this one? And they're talking to you, okay? And then they kind of do that.
Oh, yeah.
That means I'm not listening to you.
I'm done.
Okay, I'm done.
I'm done.
All right?
Keep talking.
You're one step above get the hell out. Okay? That's about the next step that's coming up. Okay? What about this one? You're doing your presentation. And as a smart presenter, okay, you're making your presentation. They're over here where the computer is. And you lay out your comparables, okay? And you're talking to them. You lay it out. And as a smart presenter, you kind of sit back and relax. If they do this, start looking at it, what does that mean? When you lean back and they lean forward.
Well, you let them kind of take control back if they want to be interested.
True. This space is safe. They feel comfortable.
You didn't have to say a negative. You're letting them look right at it.
Right. They're sitting here figuring this out. They're thinking about it. Okay. That's a positive, yes. Whereas this is not. It's that nonverbal communication that you want to pay attention to. Because if you notice that they're starting to do this, okay, that's when, look guys, this is sales, okay? This is not some basic sales thing. This is advanced sales stuff here. If they're starting to do this, you've got to find a way to get them to open up. And the ways to make them open up is by what?
Ask questions.
Ask questions. Right.
Got to find out what's going on in there.
So basically what I'm hearing you say, what I'm seeing here is that you're not comfortable with the price. Could you tell me about that? Well, yeah, this house is not, my house is better. Okay, great. What would you suggest? Well, now they're engaged again. If they start saying, well, it's going to be a little bit harder, so you got to ask more questions. But the overall point is, when you're trying to figure out how to be a better listener, listen for what is not being said, because sometimes that's equally important. Make sense? Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns, emotional freakouts, overloads, anything like that? Yes? No? Okay, great. Well, thanks for showing up. Take care. Have a great day.
Anybody going tomorrow to the Get Motivated?